All right, good morning, everyone. Futures Brizio here, 9:39 a.m. on Thursday, October 23rd. Just thought I would jump in here early with a morning update instead of just doing later in the day. So we'll just jump right in. We're just going to look at what's going on. I did make a video yesterday that talked a little bit more about seasonal the way to look at these, especially commodities markets like grains and even energy markets using seasonality. And of course, we would also layer in commitment of traders. But as I've said 100 times now, we don't have up to date COT data, and we won't until the US government reopens. So we're going to look at just mostly technical here. And so let's just jump right in. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and any questions or comments, leave them down below. So this is crude oil on the 4-hour chart. And again, these are Heikin Ashi candles, guys, but I can switch this over to just regular candlesticks here. And so here we go. So I was talking yesterday about crude oil potentially making a big turn here. And this may have been it. We did have this move up basically take out, 1, 2, 3 little liquidity areas. Now, I will admit these are small areas. When you compare it to the pullbacks before, a big move down, a really big move down like this one right here, these are much smaller, okay? But you can see, it was very impulsive. And from this bottom all the way up here, we really had no selling going on at all. There were a couple of like little, doji indecision candles, bearish ones here, one tiny one here, and a couple of small ones before it got going. But for the most part, this has gone straight up without looking back. So where are we right now? Well, we're sitting at that major. We're sitting at that major area. Okay, these were kind of, like I said, smaller areas. Here's a bigger one. So naturally, there's going to be a reaction from this area, and we are seeing that right now. We're seeing a pullback here. This is a 4-hour candle. If we go back to the 1 hour, we can see it here. It is possible that the downtrend just resumes and we just keep going back down here. We'll see. But if this doesn't really pick up and we start getting some really deep selling going on here, then this is just a pullback and would be a good buying opportunity. I'm not going to do it right now. If I had to look at kind of a liquidity, an area to look for price to pull back into, this would be a good spot right here. If not there, then maybe one below it, but somewhere right inside of this. This is a 15-minute chart now, so anywhere inside of here would be a good area. So let's keep an eye on crude oil. I did not trade any of this long, but if we are going to start to turn here, there's going to be plenty of time to get into this. Prices are still very low, and any valid pullback in here would potentially open up for another move higher. Now, again, if we start to get really strong, like large bearish candles pushing back down again, well, that could signal that the downtrend's resuming. But it doesn't look like that way. Although, again, like I said, the difference is these were kind of like minor swing points right here. This is the major one, and this is the one the market's reacting from. It blew right through all these other ones. So that might be our turn. We'll see how that goes in crude oil. Okay. And prices have been like super low, so it was only a matter of time before they get kicked back up to into the a little bit higher range, and just an average range at least, and instead of the way below average prices that we haven't seen since like the beginning of COVID. So all right, so on to corn. So I was mentioning yesterday that we probably would see a reaction off of this level, and we are. It's just went a little bit further than I initially figured, but here's this level, and you can see that prices did make multiple attempts to break through this level and is now turning down. So the question is going to be, again, are we just going to like fall back into this range and just start, jump forming in between this range, or are we going to get a pullback here and then see price rally up. This is a 1 hour chart. Here's the 4 hour chart. Not really much more you can see there, except that you can see this range that goes, pretty much all the way across here. That's been going on since it's like about late September here. So we do have all of this. So we'll see now whether this just, kind of smashes right through here or whether we roll over and break through this support. So this is kind of the area to watch right here, in my opinion, on the 4 hour chart as kind of the main line in the sand about whether we break higher or not. We're clearly in a pullback phase right now. At least I'm looking at it as a pullback phase, but it is a pretty aggressive move down. So let's see what happens. And remember, from a seasonality standpoint, we are still bullish in corn. Okay, on to soybean meal. Again, this thing has just been going up and up. Looks like we are in another pullback here. Again, this is the 1 hour chart. And again, very easy with Heikin-Ashi candles to kind of pick out your major swing levels. And, this is one here. And then you see we've got a couple more layers down here. But, to me, this kind of looks like this is going to just kind of roll down here and then turn and go back up. I'm hoping. I'm still in my long position here. My stop is now sitting just on my trading chart, which is not this one. My stop is sitting just below here. So I'll keep an eye on it. I obviously don't want to give back what I've made on this. I've been in it since like down here somewhere. But we'll keep an eye on it. This is not looking very impressive in terms of selling. There's a lot of indecision candles here, even with the market now being open for about 15 minutes here. It's not really aggressively moving down. So we'll keep a close eye on it. But at the moment, it's still looking like a pullback area. And we'll just go and look at soybean oil before we move on. As I was mentioning yesterday with soybean oil, that we had this, it was following this trend line, and you can see it has indeed bounced off this trend line. And so, we'll see. Are we just going to run up and hit the top of this range again? Or are we going to break through there finally? We do have a little internal structure sitting here. And so I think, again, soybean oil should be bullish from a seasonality standpoint, but it just hasn't been able to get going. As I said yesterday, it's just been in this meandering range, even though, yes, it is putting in higher lows. Anyways, I'm not necessarily even saying higher highs because it's not putting in higher highs. It's kind of putting in some equal highs, but is not putting in higher highs for the most part since this one. I mean, I guess you could say this one here, but you can see it tagged it and came right back and settled inside the range. So it's been pretty much sideways here, even though it's making higher lows. So, the higher lows do suggest that the buyers are present, but let's move this up here. This is kind of our break point now if we close below here now that we've bounced. So we'll see what happens. This one is not as impressive to me in terms of entering long positions. So since I'm in soybeans and soybean meal already, it's already enough exposure. I'm not going to touch this one right now as long as it's in this range, but we'll see. But it's definitely been the laggard in this group. So, and once again, Australian dollar jumping over to currency futures again, sitting inside this range. This is of no interest to me. This is the 4 hour chart, and you can see it's just completely ranging here. And again, I know there are trends on much smaller time frames to trade here, but I don't trade on those super short time frames. I'm looking for, trends at least on the 1 hour chart, and we don't have that. This is the 4 hour. If we go to the 1 hour, there's no trend here. It's just sideways price action. So I'll wait for some kind of breakout here on the Australian dollar, and this would, like I said yesterday, would be a really great if I had COT data, because the last COT that we had on this, which was coming up on like a month ago now, was showing this to be bearish. But of course, a lot can change in 4 reports, and we could easily have been switching to a more neutral, maybe not bullish, but a more neutral stance. So is this some kind of accumulation going on in here? I guess we're going to find out as this thing, breaks, and eventually is this accumulation, we eventually break out of this range to the upside, or are we just going to, eventually give up and keep going lower? So we'll see, but it's nothing I'm trading right now. And then on the British pound, I was thinking that this thing was going to, bounce, hit the trend line, come back, and then eventually start going up. And you can see that really hasn't happened. It did actually make that bounce here and started going higher. We got a couple, and then it just rolled over, and now it's just kind of sitting here again. It looks like it's having a hard time going lower. It's looked like it's made, this is the 1 hour chart, it's made a few attempts to break through these lows right here, but it hasn't been able to. At least 2 attempts here where it's tried to stab through here, and it couldn't. So, maybe it'll bounce from here, but this is also looking pretty stagnant at the moment. And certainly this downtrend is not voided. And like I said, at this point, we would have to kind of break these highs at least before it really would start to show an upward change of direction. So I was in this long. I've exited that position, took a small loss on it because I just don't like the way it looks. If we start to get some real bullish momentum, again, popping back through this trend line and preferably over like one of these major swing areas, then that would be an opportunity. And again, from a COT data, again, a month ago, it was pointing to higher prices on the pound, but that has not played out. I mean, this, if we look at the higher time frame, well, this only goes back about a week ago right here. But you can see overall, if we go back here to this recent swing, this was about a month ago when we were thinking prices were going higher, and it's done nothing but go down since then. So now the last attempt to go lower on the 4 hour chart was right here, and it really didn't. I guess you can technically say it broke the lows, but it really struggled. And then we had a big impulsive movement back up that took out this swing area. And now we're just kind of, we've been trading back down since then. So we'll have to see. This might start entering into a consolidation area too. I don't know. But just watching this for now. I'm not going to be trading this unless we get, a nice, at least not trading it long, unless we see a nice smash through this trend line, get one of these, especially one of these Heikin-Ashi candles to close above the trend line. Then that might switch the momentum. But in the meantime, it's just right now, it looks like it could be starting in more of a sideways pattern here if it can't break out of this mess it's in right now. So, all right. So anyways, guys, the main focus right now is on crude oil, and then keeping an eye on corn and the soy complex. And these two markets here, I'm just, I watch everything, but I'm not looking to actively enter anything on these. So, all right. So anyways, guys, I'll leave it there. Check out the video from yesterday that talked about a few seasonality websites that I use. Again, it's not a site you need to look at every day. It's designed to kind of give you that bigger picture. And again, what you want to look for are patterns over the months, over X number of months every year, where price tends to, no matter whether you're looking at 1 year of history, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever, that's kind of overall going in the same direction those same months every year. And of course, there's always going to be little dips and blips and dips within that. But overall, that's what you want to look for. And that just raises confidence level that, statistically, the odds are on your favor that if you trade in that direction during those months, that overall you should be, have a decent trade. Of course, always remembering that, anything could change that, any fundamental at the time can blow up any given year seasonality. And you will also, of course, want to use price action and market structure levels to time it. You don't want to just jump in because of that. And when we have COT data back, you can combine it with COT data. That's kind of the golden trio, right? To have seasonality, COT, and price action on your side to really give you that confidence. But we only have 2 of those 3 pieces right now, so that's what it is. All right. So that's it, guys. I'll leave it there. It's going to be short and sweet. I'll be back later if necessary, and we'll talk about anything else that happened today. But we are underway in the New York session here, or Chicago session, I should say. All right, guys, have a good rest of your day. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel on your way out. Questions or comments, of course, leave them down below, and we'll talk to everybody soon. All right, thanks.